You're joining me for another day on the E30 project today, and I've got quite a grim job to do, which is scrubbing this engine bay and also the underside of the car. I remember doing this on the rear end of the car and it was the most miserable job I've ever done. Well, that's cleaning round one finished. Probably the worst job in the world, that, and unfortunately I think the car might be winning at the moment. But there's a bit more room underneath it on this end, so let's hope it goes a bit better than last time. First thing I'm going to do before I get into that is give some rust a prod, which is just on the backside of the wheel well there, and see what that looks like. And then I'm going to get suited up, get myself some stiff bristle brushes, spray everything down with degreaser, give it an agitate, get some hot soapy water, and start working my way from front to back, cleaning off the underside and of course all this engine bay, and then we can see what we're actually dealing with. The top tip here from last time is actually to use a dish brush, because it enables you to get in all the tight nooks and crannies quite well, and the brush is obviously stiff enough to really dig into grease and shift it. But anyway, without further ado, let's get suited up and crack on. Right, it's had a bit of time to dry now. Scrubbing the engine bay was actually not too bad, it's quite enjoyable almost, but scrubbing underneath the car was just as miserable as last time. It's always a horrible job, that. But the good news is, I haven't found as much rust as I was expecting to underneath there. So we looked at the engine bay and the firewall in a bit more detail in the last episode, and to be honest, I'm still really pleased with how it's come out. The firewall area is still the best part in the whole car. Now, with the rest of the engine bay, now it's been degreased, you can actually see how tired this old paint is looking. It's absolutely desperate for a repaint. I can only assume the paint's failing because of heat cycles within the bay, because the areas that were covered over, for example, where the washer fluid bottle is, the paint's still shiny, but all the areas exposed to the heat of the engine are all flaking off. It's very, very tired. Heading down the transmission tunnel, we do find a few patches of rust that do need sorting. Frustratingly, I can't seem to get off this black tar underseal stuff that seems to be welded on there really solid. The only way to remove that, as I found at the rear end, is to actually scrape it off. No amount of scrubbing will remove that. So we're going to ignore that for now and just focus in on looking at the rust. So to be honest, I'm continuing to be lucky here. I haven't really found any new holes that I need to worry about. but I have found quite a bit of surface rust on various edges that I can grind back, treat and recoat. I'm going to give this the same treatment that I gave the rear end. I'm going to remove as much of this nasty tar stuff as I can, chase any rust back that I find and get it treated, and then get the whole underside coated in Dinitrol Underseal, and then I'll do cavity wax as well just to make sure it lasts into the future. But like with the rear end, I'm not going to go too far. Places where the original underseal is solid and the original factory e-coat is solid as well, I'm actually going to just clean and recoat with Dinitrol, and I'm not going to bring it back to bare metal, because I am a firm believer that if I disturb things that have been solid for the past 30 years, I'm actually going to shorten the life of the car rather than help it. Coming back to the wheel wells, which is actually where we started, there is rust on various brackets in here. I can see some rust in the crevices, so I suspect we'll find more when we start to chase the underseal back. But this is probably the worst part I've found on the front. I guess it's a front jacking point. There's like a square here that's reinforced, and it's so rusted out that it's pretty much falling off. So I think I'm actually going to start with this, wire brush this back and see what we're actually left with, make myself some panels and weld in a repair. But this is a very common one for the E30, and it's strange how the driver's side's the worst and the passenger side's a bit better. You'd think it'd be the other way around, but here we are. This front jacking point is actually turned into a much bigger rust hole than I expected. The more I grind, the more I find, basically. So I've actually hit carpet, and I'm realising what I need to do is to take the interior out of this car so I don't destroy it in trying to fix these rust holes. And I'm going to call it a day for now and pick that up in the next episode. So if you've enjoyed watching this, please do feel free to give us a like, and why not subscribe as well. Thank you very much for watching.